Today we are doing something that every smoker needs to know. It's kind of like a PSA for smokers.
Yeah, it's like the first time you want to do that long smoke. The
Yeah.
quintessential piece of meat that you're going to choose is the Boston butt.
It's kind of hard to mess up a Boston butt. It's a big ol' chunk of meat. How many pounds we got here?
I think this one's about a 7-pound butt. We've got one already on the grill that's 12 pounds.
The goal is to smoke this thing up until the connective tissue just releases and it just falls apart.
Yeah, what I found on doing a Boston butt, the rule of thumb is an hour to 2 hours per pound.
So Seth, tell us about the technique that we are using to smoke this Boston butt today.
All right, so on this Boston butt, the way, you fire up your grill, same way you fire up a grill anytime. I put the deflector plates in.
So I'm not a fan of wood chips because I feel like it's a lot more maintenance. The chunk lasts a long time, and a little bit of a cheat if you want to let your chunks last even longer is to soak them in something. Water, beer, apple juice. You can soak them in something for about an hour before you throw them on there, and that just causes it to smolder and smoke even slower.
It's cool with the chunks or the chips, you can use different flavoring, right? So you can change a little bit of the small flavors of the meat depending on what wood you're using for the long smoke.
So hickory is, if you're talking about smoke profile though, hickory is right in the middle of the road. It's not as light as some of your fruit trees like apple and cherry wood, but it's not as pronounced as, pecan or mesquite. So hickory kind of right in the middle of the road, and I think we're ready to rub this butt.
Yeah, let's rub the butt.
Tell us about this butt rub. What's our plan here?
So very simple. We got this piece of meat from Wilkes Meat Market over in the Matt community.
It's a great butcher shop, man.
Great butcher shop. They personally cut this one for me. They had a bunch of butts that were bigger, and I was like, man, I need one about 7 pounds. It's a bone-in, which I like to use. Just adds a little bit more flavor to it, in my opinion.
So we're gonna cover this whole thing with rub.
Yeah,
How much rub?
A lot.
A lot of rub.
The more you rub the butt, the better.
The rub is what turns into our bark. And I don't know about you, man, but I'm a bark guy. So we're gonna leave no meat showing. You really can't overdo the rub. The better you do on the rub, the crispier, the more texture you're gonna get on your bark. Some people will use olive oil as a bond. Some people will use mustard as a bond. Neither of those really affect the flavor. They just kind of help the rub stick to the meat. But if you're doing like we're doing, where you're kind of rubbing that butt, treating it nice and tender, patting it down a little bit, showing a little bit of love, it's gonna stick right to it. When we tried a minute ago to lift this thing off the grill, it just started falling apart before we could even pick it up. So what we're having to do now, we're having to lift it with a spatula because it's burning our hands because we're not as strong as we thought we were. So this is a pulled pork that is just about ready to shred itself. What's going on here is we're gonna let it sit and rest in aluminum foil for a few minutes. With these bigger cuts of meat, you've got a lot of juice that is trying to get settled, moving throughout all these different muscle strands and all this different meat tissue. And if you just tear into it as soon as it comes off the grill, you could actually end up drying your meat out because the juice inside the meat will evaporate too quickly. So we want to wrap this up in tinfoil quickly and let the juices rest. If you can let it rest for an hour, you will never be disappointed with your result.
So this is our favorite part of it. This is where we get to taste the meat, start to eat it.
This meat is so tender we could honestly just use our fingers. I mean, look at that. That is pulled pork right there. So what you're looking for in barbecue, which is slow and low cooking technique, is a smoke ring around the outside. One of the things we like to do in these cooking videos is not just force the viewer to take our word that it's good meat. So we have some people that are willing to taste test. This is my son Declan.
This is my daughter Adeline.
What does it taste like? 2 thumbs up?
Tastes like strawberries.
Strawberries? No, yeah. I can see that.
It made me choke. So here we are hanging out on Seth's back deck, and this is why we barbecue. Not every man can have a man cave in their basement. Not every house can have a basement, but every man can have a back patio and a Kamado Joe. And one of the things that Seth and his team over at Thomas Lumber specialize in is helping you live out that backyard dream, hanging out with the family, building a deck you can... So, and that's what Seth and his team specialize in, is helping you with whether it's getting your back deck of your dreams or getting the Kamado Joe or some home renovation. They've got it all. So what's happening over at the lumber yard this time of year, Seth?
So this time of year, the big thing that we see is people are they're wanting to get outdoors. It's springtime, so they're wanting to create that outdoor entertaining area, the outdoor area for the family to hang out. You know, just anything that creates the outdoor space where you can go and hang. So, you know, one of the things, like when we built this house, we wanted to use a lot of cedar. We wanted to use a lot of the deck, a lot of Ipe decking. Create an area that, you know, if it's raining, we can hang out with the covered porch. If it's sunny, we go hang out on the deck, and just create an outdoor space for us to grill out, have a good time, invite our friends over and their kids, and watch movies. That's right, put a TV out here. Now we don't sell TVs, but we've got the guys that can install them for you.
So hey, no matter where you are, what you're up to, we hope you've got a backyard you can enjoy with your friends and your family. That's really the essence of Slow and Low barbecue. And we've got a lot more of these videos coming, so we'd love to hear what are some things that you'd like to see us cook and see if our kids like the meat that comes off the grill. Let us know in the comments what you're interested in. We're not experts, we're just average guys like you who like to fire up a grill. So if you've got questions about rubs or different types of meat, whether it's steaks, hot dogs, briskets, barbecue, grilling, we can do it all. And if not, we'll figure it out. That's what these videos are for.
And we'll have some fun doing the trial and error with it.
Yeah, we're not guaranteeing everything's gonna turn out perfectly. So
it may fall apart.
all right, hey, so we hope to see you guys soon from our backyard to yours.